From
Hi,
Wish
this is Kylie
TV
Conway,
and the All
and this is
Indiana
your News 8
Podcast
Daily for
Network,
Friday,
this
September
is the
30th.
News 8
We
Daily
are
8
gonna end
Podcast with
September
Wish
with the
TV's
best
Kylie
weather
Conway.
day of the
Wish
week.
TV
A terrific
News 8
bright day,
Update.
slightly below normal temperatures with light winds. Highs are going to be in the upper 60s to low 70s. A death investigation is underway after a house fire on the east side. The fire was reported around 4 this morning on North Arlington Avenue, just south of 23rd Street. The Indianapolis Fire Department did tell our crews there at the scene that they found a person dead, but have not said how that person died. A re-strengthened and now deadly Hurricane Ian aims for South Carolina. Ian will make landfall just west of Myrtle Beach later today. The entire coast is under a hurricane warning ahead of a storm surge and more potentially catastrophic flooding. The storm wiped out entire communities in Florida, ripped homes and businesses from their slabs, and ripped docks into pieces. Hardee County, the Sanibel and Montlocker Bridges, and Fort Myers were some of the hardest hit places. Governor Ron DeSantis says that the Coast Guard and National Guard made at least 700 rescues yesterday, mostly from the air. A Fort Myers councilman estimates 90% of the beach is gone. More than 2 million homes and businesses are without power right now. Florida Power and Light, the state's largest energy provider, says downed trees and flooding are making repairs difficult. CNN is now reporting 19 deaths there in Florida. That is up from just 4 earlier this morning. And today, Indiana National Guard soldiers will arrive in Tampa to help with hurricane relief efforts. The Guard says the group of more than a dozen left yesterday in 2 Black Hawk helicopters, arriving in a staging area in southern Alabama last night. The soldiers say they'll use helicopters to take water, food, and medical supplies to people affected by the storm. The Guard deployment includes flight teams and mechanics. 35 more members of Indiana Task Force 1 will also arrive in Florida today. And new news from overnight in the war in Ukraine. 23 people are dead in what Ukrainian officials call a targeted attack on a humanitarian convoy. Video was released into our newsroom this morning. You can find that on wishtv.com. It shows the aftermath, and it is devastating. Ukrainian officials say Russia launched 16 missiles. 4 of them hit an area where the convoy gathered before heading to Russian-occupied territory to pick up relatives and take them to safety. The attack came hours before Russia plans to annex more of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated if the Kremlin proceeds with that annexation, further peace talks with Russia would be impossible. And the Pentagon says it's forming a new command in Germany to help with arming and training the Ukrainian military. It says the idea for the command is to provide a more effective way of teaching Ukrainian forces on how to use supplied equipment. The planned headquarters will be in Wiesbaden, Germany. It's close to many training areas already used by the United States and other Western countries. The U.S. has committed more than $16 billion in security assistance to Ukraine since the beginning of Russia's invasion. All right, from our IT mate, authorities are using Indiana's red flag law after the shooting that wounded a woman and her 4-year-old granddaughter in Avon. Police have seized Brandon Clark's guns. They say he had several loaded weapons in the house. Investigators say his niece accidentally fired one of them Wednesday, wounding herself and her grandmother. Court records show the Hendricks County prosecutor filed a motion for police to take Clark's guns through the red flag law, which allows authorities to seize weapons from people considered dangerous. A judge set a hearing for October 13th. At that time, Clark can make arguments for getting his guns back. Former President Donald Trump has won the latest courtroom skirmish over the documents seized from his Mar-a-Lago estate. He won't have to formally assert that the FBI planted evidence, as he has publicly claimed. Judge Aileen Cannon's new ruling runs against the special master she appointed to the case. The special master wanted Trump's claims of planted evidence on the record. Cannon also pushed the timeline for document review back several weeks to mid-December. The Biden administration is changing eligibility for its student loan forgiveness plan. It comes after 6 Republican-led states sued to block the plan from taking effect. Those states include Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas, Nebraska, South Carolina, and Iowa. The administration's new plan will see borrowers whose federal student loans are held by private lenders excluded from taking part. That will affect about 770,000 student loan borrowers. Biden's plan will also see up to $10,000 canceled for borrowers who make under $125,000 a year. That number could jump to $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients. To business headlines, major ports and railroads across the Southeast have halted operations due to Hurricane Ian. Jacksonville, the largest container port in Florida and a main trade gateway for auto shipments, shut down Wednesday and will remain closed until the Coast Guard authorizes operations to resume. Rail carrier CSX tells customers to expect delays. Ian's insurance losses are projected to reach $40 billion. The Insurance Information Institute says early estimates that would make it second to only Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Ian's arrival in Florida comes as the Sunshine State has seen turmoil in its insurance market due to a heavy number of lawsuits and fraudulent roof replacement schemes. The U.S. economy shrank for the second consecutive quarter in the 3 months that ended in June, according to the final estimate from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. That means the U.S. has met the criteria to be in a recession. The U.S. contracted by 0.6% in the spring of this year. Meanwhile, Nestle will drop a palm oil supplier that is accused of abuses. The Indonesian company is accused of land rights abuses and environmental harm. And voice assistants like Apple's Siri, Amazon's Alexa, and the Google Home device could negatively impact children's emotional and cognitive development. A new study published in the Archives of Disease in Childhood reflected on this. It found claims children's reliance on the artificial intelligence-powered technology could lead to antisocial and harmful behaviors because the children don't learn how to communicate with humans as well. Tonight in Noblesville, it is Take Two for the Chicks. The country trio held a show at Ruoff Music Center in June, but called it off after a few songs. Lead singer Natalie Maines told the crowd she wasn't feeling well because of allergies. The group also canceled the next 2 concerts in Cincinnati and Michigan after that. If you have tickets for the first show, promoters say you can use them tonight. The concert starts at 7:30. And finally, jazz will fill Garfield Park this weekend. The Indie Jazz Fest returns for a 2-day outdoor festival. Performances will happen at the McAllister Amphitheater. Tickets are still available. It all starts tomorrow with gates opening at 2 in the afternoon. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.